Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're at in this world, in this lovely world. I want to thank you and welcome you to the Cali Truck Stop Theater. So, I'm out here at, I'm done for the day. I'm out here at, what is it called? The city is, I think it's either like Posier or Posture. I don't know. You people who are in Washington here should know how to say the city, but it's either like Posture or Posture or something like that. Posture, Washington. I'm stopped for the day because I have to drop off a load, but I can't drop it off until tomorrow morning. So I'm just a few miles out from my drop, and I'm just going to end up waiting until tomorrow morning to drop it off. But after that, I'm on my way to Hermiston, Oregon, and that's just to start the process of my appeal from my court case that I had on in February, which is just last month. February. Well, if you watch my videos, you would know, or you would have known that I was ticketed by a police officer. This happened back in November of 2019. I was ticketed by a police officer for running a red light, so he says. And so I went to court on it in February to fight it, and I ended up losing that court case, basically because well, first of all, the officer, he falsified his testimony on what had happened on that day, and also on the fact of me running a red light, which is a false accusation. And so and also on top of that, the judge that was presiding over that case decided not to accept my testimony, and ultimately charged me with running a red light. And he didn't base the decision off the law that I had used for my case. He practically based it off of the officer's testimony, which had nothing to do with what the law says. So I ended up losing the case, but I'm going to be appealing that, which is tomorrow. I'm going to be heading back to the courthouse tomorrow to file the appeal, and then I'll get a court date from there. So I'll end up having to make it another trip back to Hermiston, Oregon, for whenever the court date is going to be. Now, so and this is trucking. This video here is going to be based on trucking tips, and so there's going to be a couple of truck tips here for you, because there's a couple of things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. Anyways, if you have seen any of my previous videos in regards to, well, like I think the other video that I did was it was titled basically something about so you think you want to be a trucker or something like that. Just look in the archive on that. But one of the things that I mentioned is that some of the headaches to being a truck driver is that you are going to be interacting with police officers. Unfortunately, you are going to encounter police officers. Now, for some of you, it might be that you're not going to encounter them very often, and then for other folks, you're going to be encountering them quite a bit. But go back and watch that video. I have some good tips in there on that will enlighten you on some of the things that are involved with being a truck driver. It's not just driving the truck, or maybe loading or unloading the truck, depending on the type of job that you're doing. But it's not all about just driving the open roads and just letting life flow in whatever direction that you let it run to. There's a lot of the things that are involved in being a truck driver, and one of those is that, and I said that one of the things that you'll have to deal with is being a truck driver is that sometimes you are going to have to be your own lawyer, your own attorney. So you are going to have to wear that hat of being an attorney and having to fight some of your cases in court. Now there are times where you are going to need the actual assistance of a real attorney, but there are some things that you can fight on your own without the aid of an attorney if you learn the court system. And that's something that I do advise that you do is learn a little bit about what you don't have to be an expert at it, but try to learn enough of it to try and get you through some of these court cases that you may end up in. And I hope that you don't end up in a situation like that, but like I said, being a truck driver, you are exposed to that kind of lifestyle. So being a truck driver, you may have to wear that hat of being your own attorney, and with that, you should know how the court system operates and how you should conduct yourself in the courtroom. Also, being out here on the road, the worst mistake that you can do, and this does not apply to just truck drivers. This applies to every single U.S. citizen here in this country. The worst thing that you can do is to get into a confrontation with the police officer out here on these streets, because almost all the time you're going to lose. And you might be able to stand up and speak your piece, speak your mind, or whatever, without going overboard with the disrespect to an officer out here on the streets, and that could cause the police officer to back off of you. But the worst thing that you can do is to be confrontational with the police out here, so much to where they will be the aggressor towards you, and you very well may open up the door for them to give them reason to be aggressive to you, which could lead in a whole bunch of other problems. It could lead to you getting arrested. It could lead to you getting beat up, and God forbid, it could lead you to get killed. There's a lot of people that they never would have got arrested, beat up, or even killed if they had not have been so aggressive with the police officer. You can speak your mind. You can if you don't agree with the police officer, you can not agree and let them know that you don't agree with them. But you don't want the situation to escalate to the point to where that officer may have or he may create a reason to become aggressive to you. If you have a disagreement and you cannot resolve it on the streets here with the officer, your best bet is to go in the courtroom and resolve your issue there. And if you're not able to, let's say you do take it to the court, and you don't, you're in a situation that I'm in. I took it to the court, and the judge that presided over the case didn't rule in my favor. Well, excuse me. The amazing thing about our court system is that you are able to take it to the next level to try and resolve the issue. So with the court system, if whatever reason that you are not satisfied with the outcome of your case, you have the right to appeal your case. Okay, That doesn't matter if it's a criminal, a civil, or a traffic case. Any court case, you have the opportunity, you have the right to appeal your case, to try and get the first decision overturned, and then to be acquitted of any charges that have been put on you. So that's what I'm doing, is that I'm going to go and appeal my case. So the process for me is that, seeing as how I lost the first round, is that I have to go back to the court and I have to file papers, which is going to cost me some money to do. And here's something else. Sometimes, if you decide to go and appeal your case, you are going to have to pay some money to set up the appeal process. Sometimes the money that it costs to pay for the appeal can be more costly than the conviction. But there are some times where it is necessary to do so, and in my case, the amount of money that I got to pay to do the appeal process is more than the fine that I have to pay for the conviction. Now, I'm willing to pay more to get the appeal process going, because it's much more at stake for me than just having something on my record and then having to pay the fine is like $200 and something for that infraction. But the cost is much more than just $200 something, for me to just not try to continue to fight this. So I'm willing to pay, X amount of dollars to go ahead and fight this, because as a truck driver, this is your way of life. For truck drivers, many truck drivers and many people in general, have one job, one source of income. Now, I'm working on trying to find something that's going to provide me more than one source of income. But as of right now, that's what I'm working with, is one source of income. Now that does pose a problem with me, because it's my way of life. Truck driving is a way of life for me. It's a way that I make my living. If I have a conviction, a traffic violation on my record, it causes a negative. It presents a negative mark. It makes it, on paper, it doesn't make me look as well, which possible consequences of that could be that I may lose my job, because I have a moving violation ticket. The company, that I work for, or any other company that I do work for, they may decide that they want to, they may decide to fire me because I have a ticket, or have certain things on my driving record. If I wanna go and switch to another company, other companies might not hire me because I have because I have this on my record. So it will cost me a lot more in the way of money if I don't fight it. So having to go and pay this money, which I think is ridiculous, having to go pay this money, to do this is something that I have to do if I want any chance of saving my job, or keeping doors open to me, should I need to or want to get a job at another company doing the same, driving. So it's important that you do your research, that you learn how the court system works, how you should conduct yourself being in the courtroom, and learn some of your laws. There are, when it comes to driving, it is somewhat easy to be able to to know and understand laws that, especially if you're traveling all over the country. It's somewhat easy to figure out and know what laws are enforceable in certain areas. There, now when you get down to the state and local laws, and even well, local laws is pretty much your townships and stuff like that. But when you get into those categories, laws may vary depending on how that city or town operates. But for the most part, a lot of your major laws dealing with transportation are federal laws, which means that they are pretty consistent all over the country in every one of the 50 states. So if you are cited for supposedly breaking a particular law or whatever, check to see, you're going to get you'll get a ticket, and you'll have the actual code of the infraction that you violated. You look that up, and you look at what that law says. Now, there are times where the officer will get that wrong. They may put down the wrong code, or maybe you did maybe you did violate the code that they put down there, but maybe there is something else that will justify your actions as the reason why you may have violated the code that the officer said that you violated. And there are often times where the code that the officer says that you violated, there may be several different things that you had to have violated in order for you to officially violate that law. So that's one good reason why you need to look at what it is that they're charging you with, because there are some laws that they may have cited you for law X, for violating law X, but when you go and look at that, you have to have met all the criteria under law X in order to be in violation of law X. And if all three criteria, or how many criteria that it lists that you must have violated in order for you to violate that particular code, if you have not violated all the criteria in there, then you essentially had not violated the code, which you can go to court and you can argue your case on that point. And in many cases you can get it overturned, based on that fact. And if you're not able to get it overturned by the judge, I would highly suggest that you go in and do the appeal on it, because because if the courts don't go in your favor, and they didn't follow the law themselves, you have it would behoove you to go ahead and keep challenging that. Don't give up on that. Keep challenging that. So that's basically what I'm doing. So like I said, just do your research on that. Now, so that's out of the way. That's what I'm gonna be doing here pretty soon. Is I'm gonna go and take care of that. But the other thing that I wanted to talk, there was some other things I wanted to talk about, but I don't remember what it was, and I couldn't write it all down because I was driving at the time. So a lot of times there's things that pop into my head that are good ideas or philosophies or whatever, but I can't always like drive, or I can't always write the stuff down because I'm driving, or I can't always fumble with the phone to try and get a audio memo of it. So I have to try to remember it whenever I get the chance to. So this one here is like when I was stopped here, I noticed a truck was pulling in, and one of the first things that I noticed on the truck was that the tires on the trailer, one of the tires on this guy's trailer appeared to be a little bit low. And I was thinking at first that maybe it was flat or something like that, because the sidewalls is kind of was kind of bulging out a little bit. So obviously he's got a heavy load, but at the same time, it looks like that tire is bulging out a little bit too much, which means that he doesn't have enough air in his tire. So I'm like, okay, well, hey, this would be a good tip to use, or to have on my channel. I may have talked about it before, but I'm not sure if I did. Sometimes I think about stuff and think that I've already done it, which I hadn't done it, but in my head I did do it. So yeah. So tire checking is very important. To check your tires. Check it physically, and also check the air pressure that's in your tires. You don't have to check it every day, but you do want to check as far as the tire pressure, you don't have to check the tire pressure every day, unless you know that you got an issue with the tire where it's leaking somewhere, and you want to monitor to see how much of a tire pressure difference you have. You don't have to check it every day, but you do want to check it often. And every time that you go from a hot climate to a cold climate, or a cold climate to a hot climate, you do want to check your tires to see if you need to either fill them up or take out some of the pressure. Now the best time to check the tire pressure in your tires is when the tire is cold. And what I mean by cold is that when the tire, when you haven't been driving on the tire for a while, okay, the tire and the air inside the tire is about the same temperature as the ambient temperature around the tire, which is what I mean by cold. Because as you're driving on the road, the tire will heat up, and that's because of friction of the tire rolling on the pavement. It causes friction on the pavement, so the tire will heat up. So when the tire heats up, the air inside the tire will expand. So the best time to check the tire pressure is when you have not been driving on those wheels for a long period of time. Check the tire pressure, see if if you need to add air or take away air. Now, for my truck, the steer tires, they have to be pumped up to 110 psi, or that's the max. It's about 110 psi, and all the rest of my tires are going to be at about 100 psi. My trailer tires, I don't have to worry about, because the auto inflate system is attached to the trailer, so that every time that I hook up the air from the truck to the trailer will automatically inflate the tire pressure in the tires if need be. But on my truck itself, I would have to monitor the tire pressure on my truck, and it's best to do that when the tire is cold, aka ambient temperature around the tire. So it's important to check that, because if your tire pressure is too low or too high, what happens is that the tire wears out incorrectly, which means that if it's too high, the tread on the center portion of your tire there is going to run out a lot faster than it is going to run out on the sides. And your tires should what was the word that I just used? Well, anyways, I forgot the word, but eroding is the same thing. Wear out. Your tire, if a tire pressure is too high, it's going to wear out in the center a lot quicker than on the sides. And if your tire's not filled up with enough air, the sides of your tire tread are going to wear out a lot faster than the center portion of your tire. Also with that, well, let's say also with the tire pressure being too high for your tires, if it's already too high and the tires, quote unquote cold, if the tire pressure is high, then once you start rolling, the tire pressure inside the tires just only increase, which could cause a tire failure. Okay, your tire could explode on you if it cannot hold the pressure, or if you run over something, it could cause your tire to spring a leak. And likewise with your tire pressure being too low, you can your tire can fail as well if the tire pressure is too low. Not only will the tread wear away unevenly, but the sidewall could wear out, and it could blow with your pressure changes, because as the tire pressure is low, the sidewall will kind of crunch on itself. Once it makes contact with the ground, the weight that you're carrying is gonna squash that tire, and so you're gonna have your tire, you're gonna have the sidewall squashing down, like this every time that it hits the pavement. What's gonna happen is that in the middle of where your tire starts to bend and squash, it's gonna form a crease, and your tires are gonna end up cracking right there, which is the braided cords that are inside the tire to help secure the tire, they're going to end up breaking, and what's going to end up happening is that your tire is going to fail, where you're going to have a blowout, because once you get air put back in the tire, then it's going to stretch back out, and if the tire pressure is too high and your sidewall has been weakened because of that, then the moment that the tire pressure is too high, your tire is going to blow. So those are a couple things that are going to happen with your tire in regards to that. Now, other thing too is that if you get debris and stuff stuck in your tire, if you get nails, you get some chunks of metal, whatever. Well, I've had chunks of metal stuck in my tire before. You gotta know about this stuff and take care of it right away. Checking your tires is very important, because all those things that I mentioned could cause your tire to fail on you, and especially if you got something stuck in your tires, that could be a hazard to people that are around you, because if you're out on the road driving and that object suddenly comes dislodged from your tire and it goes flying out somewhere, excuse me, it could hit another car, another vehicle, and it could cause an accident. So you don't want that to happen. You don't want your tire to fail on you, because when that tire blows, it immediately starts to shred and what happens is that it can damage your truck, the wheel well of your truck. It can damage the molding on your truck or the trailer, but also damage can happen on vehicles that are in the vicinity of your truck. So it's important to check your tires, and and air pressure is very key, but also checking to make sure that you don't have any objects stuck in your tire. Anytime that you notice that your tire is, the tire tread is wearing abnormally, or you notice that your tire is under inflated, or you see that you got something stuck in the tire, go and get it serviced. Remedy the situation so that you don't have a blowout on the road, possibly hurt yourself, somebody else, or your vehicle or somebody else's vehicle. Also, if you are to have a blowout and luckily nothing has been damaged, you're out on the road, you don't want to be shut down waiting for a road call to come and replace your tire, because a lot of times these things happen when you're not close to a terminal or a truck stop, a truck repair shop. You know, a lot of times these things, when they happen, they will happen out in the middle of nowhere. So, and having to go and call to have a tire repair person to come out to replace your tire, you know, it could take 2-3 hours for them to get to you. You know, so that's time that you're losing, that you could be using, you know, on the road making money. So take good care of your equipment. Take good, especially your tires. Okay, when I'm looking at somebody's tires or even looking at mine, I kind of, well, yeah, even when I'm approaching my truck and things like that, or looking at other people's trucks, one of the first things that I look at is the tires. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's just something that I do. It's like if I see a woman, you know, the first thing, one of the first things that I look at is, you know, I mean, her butt and her legs. It's not something. It's not that, you know. It's not that I'm, you know, like you know, like you know, doing a what do you call it? Like an unnecessary or overbearing look or anything like that. It's just you know, it's just looking, you know. And so whenever I see a truck, I mean, that's just, my eyes just goes to the tire, you know. You know, same thing with the female. It's not that I'm like, you know, overly stimulated, you know, by that. It's just that I look and observe, and that's it. So I do look at, you know, when I look at trucks, I'm looking at the you know, looking at the tires. It's the first thing I look at, and I'm looking at, especially when I'm looking out here on the roads and they got a truck passing me. The first thing that I look at is the tires, and that's just because I want to try to be prepared if a tire's getting ready to blow, because if I see that the tire is running low or whatever, if I see some kind of abnormality in the tire, I want to either try to make my way to get away from the truck, or if there's no way that I can get away from it, at least I can have some kind of foreknowledge that something might happen, and so that if and when it does happen, I can be able to better you know, better react to the situation at hand. So yeah, it's important. Even cars. I'm not limiting myself to just the trucks, and you shouldn't either. When you see cars coming by you, look at the cars. Look at the condition of the car. See if there's anything, you know, flapping on the car or on the truck that maybe, you know, it might come off, because, you know, a lot of these vehicles are not 100%. And you know, they're gonna have stuff on them that's just, you know, flapping in the wind or whatever. And so if the wind catches it just right, it can rip it right off the vehicle, and it can go flying, and it might go flying into your windshield. So just be mindful of that. And that's you know, that's something that you should watch out for. So that's the tip for this time around. There's some other ones that I do have, but I'll just have to run through my head to see which. You know, run through my head again for those tips, but yeah, that's and besides, it's already 30 minutes anyway, so I think that's good enough for right now, don't you think? So anyways, you guys be safe out there. I hope that y'all are in good health, and that your financial situation is good to go, and if not, I hope that it gets turned around for you right away. So I'll see you on the next video.